Hi everybody, my name is Joe Hilliard, and you're watching this on Aislynn Campbell Public.
Okay.
Every Sunday morning, Aislynn is usually on camera, and I'm doing what Aislynn's doing, holding the camera. Good morning, Aislynn.
Hi.
We are coming to you live from our chicken coop. We own currently 5 adult chickens, and we've got another batch of chicks inside the house. I'll get all into that. I am and Aislynn is the founder. I'm a co-founder. I've been on the board of an organization called Grow Local South Texas. And Grow Local South Texas, if you've got an organization like this in your city, I guarantee you that they need help right now. GrowLocalSouthTexas.com or GrowLocalSTX.com. If you're in the Corpus Christi area, there's a donate button there. Those kinds of organizations are trying to keep information like this coming out, how to deal with food in different kinds of ways. That organization has had an activity called Boktoberfest, which is an annual backyard chicken coop tour. I was one of the co-founders of that, along with many other great people, and stayed on the committee on that. And then, Mason, we took the plunge and got our own chickens 3 years ago?
2.5
years ago.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to credentials, and me giving this presentation several times around town, the credential for giving advice about chickens is owning chickens. So we own chickens, and because of everything going on in the world right now, a lot of folks are considering getting chickens, and we decided to put this video out, an introduction to backyard chickens. How to do it if you've never done it. And the first thing I'm going to tell you, or try to convince you to do, is not to get chickens. Why you shouldn't get chickens. Now, if this was a YouTube video, I would have a slideshow where I'd cut in and out. This is Facebook Live, so we're going old school, kind of rudimentary. So Aislynn, if you could just zoom into my slideshow whenever it becomes possible, whenever it makes sense to do. You know when 101 Dalmatians came out and everyone went to go get Dalmatians, and then Dalmatians were, people would learn that Dalmatians are high energy, high exercise, high demand, and everyone took their Dalmatians to not everyone, but many people that bought Dalmatians took their Dalmatians to the shelter. That's what I'm concerned about as people rush to do something that they don't quite know everything, all of the work that's required to maintain your chickens. So that's, I think, just a good kind of physical, a good visual. Easter time, every single year, people give chicks to their kids. It's so cute. The chicks are so cute. But then within weeks, they're not cute anymore, and you've realized that you've perhaps bitten off more than you can chew. And a lot of those chickens now, or baby chickens, are released into the wild or taken to rescue farms. And that's my biggest concern, is that without knowing exactly what's required to do chickens, that you get into it and then realize that it's a lot more work. And the main thing is, and this is important to know, is that if you buy baby chicks today, you will not get eggs for 6 months, maybe 4, maybe 5, but usually around 6 months. So you're looking at a long haul project here. But then there's a great reason why you do buy chickens. This is a government-issued newspaper ad from 1918, World War I. Uncle Sam expects you to keep hens and raise chickens. 2 hens in the backyard for each person in the house will keep a family in fresh eggs. And that's the main reason why you have chickens, is the eggs that they provide. So the idea that the government not only asked you to do it, but kind of said it is your duty to do it once upon a time. And then I came across this meme, which I love. It's Forrest Gump. Chicken owners under quarantine be like grits and eggs, boiled eggs, egg custard, scrambled eggs. The list goes on. And that's, of course, the main reason why people do get chickens, is the eggs, food security. So if you're going to push forward, if this is something you really want to do, I'm going to make 2 suggestions for you right away. Number 1, since you're watching this on Facebook, you're on Facebook, join a chicken group today. You can just search groups in Facebook under chickens, and you're going to find a lot of them. Then look into a regional Facebook group in South Texas. It's this one, Backyard Chickens, Grow Local South Texas. Join that if you're in the South Texas area, but look for the one in your area that makes the most sense for you, and get yourself a chicken mentor. Someone that has chickens. Become friends with them if you aren't already. They love to ask and they love to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, why keep chickens? Nutritional security, the eggs that they provide. That's the main reason that most people are into it. After the initial setup, and we'll talk about that initial setup, which is the most work and attention. The highest level of attention is required at the beginning, but after you get the chickens grown and in their coop and run, they're very low maintenance. We'll go into that. Some people don't use their chickens for this, but we do. Gardening, if you look at Aislynn's page, the page that you're watching right now, every Sunday morning, 10:30, tomorrow morning, you will see Aislynn give a tour of her garden and fantastic practical advice on how to get started gardening, or if you're an experienced gardener, how to. So we garden. Aislynn gardens. You garden, right?
I definitely garden.
You're fantastic at it. You're bringing food into our home every single day, every single week. But chickens are labor in the garden. They can take grass down to dirt. They can till and scratch the dirt and put their manure into that dirt. They come up. They also are big into composting. Behind me is our composting bin. I'll go show you that in a little while. That's advanced chickening. That's not beginning chickening, a compost bin. But people that have chickens and gardens will typically have a compost bin that their chickens have access to. We'll talk about that. Zero food waste. The way that when Aislynn brings stuff into our house, recently eggplants, greens, help me out, cauliflower, the stuff
cabbage.
That's coming out, cabbage. Yeah. You don't use the 100% of it. You got to cut off the end of the onion. You got to cut off the top of the tomato. That in our kitchen goes into a food bowl, and every single morning all of that trash goes into our compost bin where the chickens can eat it and then help make compost for our gardening. Zero food waste in your home. That's a big thing for us it's just a natural, fun byproduct. And then lastly, chickens are just fun. Aislynn, how many times do we come out here with maybe a drink or a cup of coffee and just sit and watch our chickens?
How many times over the years have we watched chickens from the farm?
Yep.
We just watch our chickens. They're fun.
So you're going to continue. You're going to look into getting chickens. The first thing you have to do is find the city or county or state ordinance that governs what is legal and not legal in your backyard. In Corpus Christi, it's the section 6-154. And by the way, when this show is over, I'm going to put links to everything. You can just click right over here to your right or down below as we go. Now, this is not for everyone. This is just for Corpus Christi. These are the basics of our code. The intent of the code in our town is only to provide eggs for you and your family. That being said, in our city, it's 7 hens maximum. Ask me why 7.
Why 7?
Good question, Aislynn. When this ordinance was written, it was championed by one woman, one resident in our town. And she got into the ear of a couple of our city council people. No, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And it got to the point where they said, okay, we're looking at other ordinances around the country. Some cities say 10 chickens. Some cities say 5. The reason why it's 7 in Corpus Christi is because the lady, Courtney was her name, had 7. She didn't have 8. She didn't have 6. That's why it's 7 in Corpus Christi. No roosters.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it needs to be 8 just so that you can order 8 chicks from the hatchery.
I'll get into that. Was that a snort? 7 hens, no roosters. Why no roosters? Because the intent of this is just to receive eggs. They don't want you to breed. They don't want the cock-a-doodle-doo to disrupt your neighbor. They don't want cockfighting, real thing that these ordinances are designed to prevent.
The other thing I always like to remind people is that chickens are flocking birds,
mm-hmm.
And they have a flock with one rooster, mm-hmm. but you have to have 8 chickens in order for there to be a flocking rooster. Well, less than 8 chickens for them to be a rooster that is not going to harm the ladies, basically. They need at least 8 hens.
That rooster will overwork if there's too few hens, overwork the hens?
Yes.
That's a nice family way of putting it. It's the truth. Now, this is important. According to our ordinance in Corpus Christi, you are not allowed to give your eggs away. you are not allowed to sell your eggs. So, let me just put this another way. If you're going to start raising chickens to sell the eggs, completely different animal in Corpus Christi, it requires a higher level of ordinance that is prohibitive in many cases. Okay, no egg sharing. Let me take off my hat of anything official and say this. In these times, whatever. We're sharing our eggs. Come get me.
Nobody's going to come argue with you about that.
And then the other parts of the ordinance that are important, you have to keep your coop and run area clean. And it has to be 25 feet away from any other kind of structure, your home, your neighbor's home. Okay, are we continuing? You still want to do this? Everything in that ordinance or the ordinance that's in your area is saying, yeah, I think I do want to pursue this thing.
Sandy says that her rooster definitely overworked her 6 hens, and he had to go.
Right.
They tear their feathers all up and everything. Yeah.
They like it rough. What you need to start. When you go buy a puppy, you know that you have to buy at the same time you get the puppy a food dish, a water dish, food, etc. Same thing for the chickens, except that chickens require more than a dog. You have to have a coop. Aislynn, can you swing around and show them our coop? I built this coop. I am not a fan of store-bought coops that cost $100, $150. They fall apart. They're not proper for our environment. Corpus Christi is a very brutal outdoor environment. They may be perfect for your environment, but in our city, I always recommend that people build their own coop. We kind of went, I mean, it's not the best coop in town, but we went overboard with our coop. I'll show you some of those features in a moment. It has to be bulletproof against predators. I'll talk about that in a second. Let's go look at our coop now.
Steel siding or what? For bulletproof.
Bulletproof against just means that you can't let nighttime predators get in. I'll talk about that in a second. Every single coop has to have, see this outcrop here? Nesting boxes. This is where chicks go in. We'll go, oh, look at this. We caught somebody. This is where the chicks go in to lay their eggs. I'm not going to disrupt her, but if I did, you'd find I did not pick up the eggs yesterday. I usually pick up the eggs every day. I didn't do it yesterday for the purposes of this video to show you some eggs.
That chicken is an Americana breed, and she lays either blue or green eggs, and I think that's Mother Clucker.
I think that you're right. But go up in there. Do you see how it's off from the common area? It's a box.
This is the nest. That's the coop.
There you go. Well, we'll go around the other side and get a good look at the coop. Let's look at this nesting box. If it's not occupied.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. They tend to lay. Okay, I'm gonna disrupt you, baby. I'm sorry. Scoot.
That's a Rhode Island red, and they lay brown eggs. Oh, look, do you see that? That's a blue or green. That's what we call blue or green egg. So our eggs are either brown or blue or green.
We got 4 eggs yesterday. I intended on saying earlier that a healthy chicken at the peak of laying season will typically lay, on average, 1 egg a day. We've got 5 adult laying chickens. We're getting about 4 eggs a day. It's not a freeloader. It's just that their cycle's a little bit different. Come on around. You're going to need with your coop an entrance and exit door. There is no shortage of coop ideas online. Research. If you're going to build your own coop, do it the way that makes sense for the space that you have. I'll show you that this door is on a pulley and a string, and I can, from the outside of the run, drop it and lift it. And that's really, once these adult chickens, you have to feed them every day, make sure they have clean water every day, but then they'll put themselves to bed, drop the door, keep the predators out. We'll talk about predators in a second. And then in the morning you lift it up. They let themselves out, they put themselves to bed. Of course, you're going to need a feeder. There's no shortage of research. Oh yeah, and you're gonna need some chicken shoes that don't go inside. Crocs with socks this morning. You're just gonna have to get over it. I apologize. Come on around. You're gonna need a way to muck your coop, clean your coop. That's why I like this big wide door. And if you come in here, Aislynn,
she's mad at you for kicking her out.
I'm sorry, honey. You're gonna need a roosting area, because they fly up here to sleep. Then they poop all night. That poop falls to the floor. You're gonna need, I just changed it this morning. This is not gross, this is clean and brand new. Litter. No shortage of research on litter. I'll show you the bag of it, these pine shavings. A lot of people swear by sand. Mine's not built for sand. But again, research. You can see, look, you're dealing with manure. Of course, manure for gardeners is a beautiful byproduct that you put right into your compost bin. Here's that pulley on a string system I was talking about. It goes up and out. I'll do a demo of that in 1 second. But what I did with my coop, and again, you can do it 1,000 different ways, is for that easy cleanup, I also have this access door. I'll go a step further. I bought my plans online. I will send them to anyone that wants them. I made a lot of modifications to this really nice set of plans, but you can use them. But what I'll do when the mood is right, when the timing is right, when I see that this needs to be cleaned out, I just have a quick 4x4 piece of plywood. I put 2 handles on it. I will walk this whole thing over to the compost bin, dump it in, scrape off the manure, slide it back in, put my new litter on. It's so easy. I've tried to create it to be as simple as possible for myself.
I think that was one of the most essential, and being someone that had chickens, larger chickens in a more rural space on the farm, things like that, getting inside your coop and cleaning your coop is ridiculous out there raking and whatever. Yeah. This is the answer to easy cleaning.
Yeah, easy cleaning was important to me.
So that you don't even have to go inside the coop. Even if the coop was bigger, you don't have to go inside it.
Look at this one. The floor space of your coop where they sleep at night, a minimum of 2 square foot per bird. We've got 5 birds, 5 times 2, 10 square feet. This is a 4x4. This is 16 square feet. I could put up to 8 chickens in here without knowing that they would not be overcrowded. That's important. Okay, in addition to...
Vicky makes a comment that sand in South Texas creates an amazing environment for chicken fleas, which are a nightmare chicken pest, and she would avoid sand.
And that's the other thing that you need to consider, is that there are many concepts that are one size fit all, but regionally, we don't have to deal with snow or sub-zero temperatures. In South Texas, your chickens you don't have to worry. Even if it freezes, you don't have to worry. You don't have to bring your chickens in if it's under 32, because that's a temperature that's okay for them. When the temperatures get up in our area to the triple digits, you only have to worry if they are really young. Otherwise, your chickens will be fine. In addition to your coop, just like with a dog, it's most humane for a dog to have its own running space. This is called the chicken run. This is where they have access to live and be chickens every single day.
Someone's asking about the netting. Where did the netting come from?
I will get there. Okay. I promise you.
And then someone else is asking you to please send the plans out. They want to see the plans.
I will definitely do that. Okay. Like I said, this video will be filled with links for resources later today. Food and water. I put in a automatic waterer because, no fuss, no muss. I don't clean it out as often as I should, but you can put some apple cider vinegar in there, which is good for their digestive system, and also will clean that up in no time. Okay, so here's that litter that I use. I get it at Tractor Supply. I can't remember how much that bag costs. So maybe someone can refresh my memory. It's not more than $8, and this bag of litter will last me 2 months. Then I buy, in addition to the food scraps that we give them every day, if it's a big bowl of food scraps, maybe I've cleaned out the refrigerator. Oh, and by the way, I meant to say this earlier, chickens will eat anything.
Literally.
Do you feed your chickens chicken? Yeah. Anything that a human can eat, chickens can eat, with a couple of exceptions. Uncooked rice, uncooked beans, uncooked pasta, anything that's going to swell inside their body. Cooked pasta, cooked rice, their favorite food. Their favorite food. Avocados, we don't give them, and raw potatoes, we don't give them. Those just go into the compost bin over here that they have a limited access to. So let's look inside these cans. And
they generally will pick around at the things they want, and the rest of it will just compost down. And so, yeah, we go ahead and throw it all over there. But yeah.
I buy 2 things once every 6 weeks or so. Chicken food I don't have a bag to show you. This is called crumble. I prefer it. You can also buy pellets. I prefer this. Can't really tell you why. I give my 5 chickens about a scoop and a half of this every day. Even though they're foraging out here, I'll show you another foraging area in a little while. And then scratch. Now, if you look inside the can, I'm down to the bottom of this previous bag. Each of these bags, we buy organic. You're going to see a non-organic bag in a while because I think just like people are trying to buy as much toilet paper as possible, they've gone to Tractor Supply and to buy as much organic. This is called scratch. I have learned anecdotally, and you may have a different opinion, that giving them scratch, which is just crushed raw grain and corn, helps them lay eggs. It's especially in the evening. If I run out of scratch and I don't go buy it for a few days, I do see a decline in egg production. That bag right there, a non-organic brand, was $13 for 50 pounds. And like I said, that'll last me a good 6 weeks. The organics are more like $21, $22 for the same quantity. Food, water, a coop, and a place for them to run. Now that's for your adults. For your chicks, if you buy them at a day old, and I'll get into this in a little while, you're going to need to do a whole other thing. You're going to need a brooder box. In our case, we just use one of those big plastic storage tubs with a screen over the top that I just made with some scrap materials to prevent them from flying out, because they'll be flying or trying to fly in no time.
One of them's already flying.
Okay, I'll talk about this in a little while again, but when you do chicks, these adult chickens can survive an ambient temperature, but chicks you need to duplicate the warmth of sitting under their mother for the first 4 to 6 weeks of their life. Specific temperatures that they need to be in, so you buy a heat lamp and you adjust the distance from the chickens. And then chick food, which is different than the food that I show you. This is laying food. They're already laying eggs, so they have a different nutritional requirement than chicken food. That is chick food, baby food. You need to buy that. Grit and calcium. The way that a chicken digests food is that as it's scratching around the ground, it's picking up tiny little pebbles and hard material that gets into their gullet, and that's how they grind up the food in their throats. For baby chicks, you need to provide that. It's a little tiny bag, it's not expensive. And then calcium, I don't want to get too hard into this. What we do for calcium supplement is anytime I use an egg to make an omelet, scrambled eggs, whatever, I crush those up. I don't bake them. I don't even want to give you too much information. I put them in the compost bin. I step on them, trying to make them not resemble the shape of an egg, because sometimes if you give your chickens shells that look like an egg, they'll start pecking at their own eggs.
Yeah.
So I just put them in the compost bin, I crush them with my foot, and they eat them. And that gives them calcium required to make shell inside their body. And the last thing you need to start...
And you can actually notice when your chickens are having a calcium deficiency because their eggs start to come out in bad shape.
Right. It's called fairy eggs. It's an egg that is mushy. It's an egg. It's inside of a shell, but the shell is not hard. Oh, my chicks need calcium. You're going to need chickens to get started. It's just a fact. But before we get into that, I want to talk about this and why I talk about a bulletproof coop. Your number one concern is predators. Animals that want to eat your chickens or your eggs. In our area, you deal with raccoons, possums. I keep a possum trap or two, and I don't use them often, but when I notice that we're getting a flare-up of possum activity in our backyard, and by the way, if you live in America, east of about halfway down the country, a line from the top to the bottom through Texas, if you live east, you have possums in your backyard at night. You have a whole different world out here at night. When you put an attractant in, like eggs, your possums could become a problem. Hawks. Now we're up to the net.
Yes.
Hawks in Corpus Christi, especially the Cal Allen area, will swoop down, grab a chicken, and it's gone. A good friend of ours, Larry, someone who I have done this presentation with, took this picture. You may not be able to see it, I hope you can, with a night camera in his backyard in Calallen. That is a raccoon, that is a wild hog.
And we do have hawks that will hit, like when they were young, we had a hawk that hit the net. I saw it happen. And then we have a new area. Yeah, I think we have a new area. I think that's how that chicken got out the other day. There makes no other sense of how she got out. All of a sudden, she was out in the middle of the yard. I think a hawk hit her, but she's too heavy to be carried off.
Let's go look at our compost bin.
Okay.
This is not a requirement to own chickens. This is just...
If you're a gardener, it's a requirement. If you just have chickens, it's not a requirement.
I built this compost bin. I overkilled it. There are 3 bays. We don't need 3 bays. But what I'll do in the morning is I'll bring all that produce that we were cutting up last night and didn't use. I'll just throw it right in there. That becomes a meal. And then whatever they don't eat, like they don't eat that whole grapefruit, will eventually compost down. And then we take the compost as it's getting ready and put it into this bin, try to keep the chickens out of it as much as we can, and then Aislynn, you've got fresh compost homemade to use whenever you're gardening.
Right, and this gives it the ability to get to where it's not so hot, so I can use it so we'll shut down one of these bays and then I can use it. But our chickens get all of the scraps. We use the scraps for my gardening, and I want to show you over here. There's a pile, basically. If friends bring us leaves or whatever, I put it in here for my chickens to get a hold of first. If I pick up somebody's somebody's scrap wood, I put it in here.
That they put out in front to be picked up.
Yeah, I give it to them first. And the reason I give it to them first is that they're going to help me get rid of anything off of it that I don't want. So like if there's some sort of an insect that I don't want on it, they're going to get it. If there's a seed that I don't want in it, they're going to get it. So they get it first. They help prep it for the garden.
Okay, so now it's time to go buy some chickens. Your first question that you'll ask is, do I want baby chicks that are a day old, a week old? And let's go down to the bottom. I called yesterday. Nailers has chickens today. And Tractor Supply has assorted bantams today.
That's the littler chickens.
A bantam is a chicken that's about 1/5 the size as an adult, up to about 1/3 of the size. They lay cute little eggs. We don't have bantams because that's not the eggs that we're going after, but they're really cute and cool to look at. But like I said, Nailers has chickens today. But you don't go buy chickens today because you need to build yourself a coop, get all the supplies that you're going to need to raise those chickens up, and but you're preparing. Okay. Pullets, which is a young hen, a year old or younger, that's already laying typically, or chicks. What experience are you after? For us, we did this prior to the times that we're living in right now. We wanted the full experience. We wanted to raise those chickens from babies. And remember, I've said this, I'm going to say it a couple more times. Baby chicks today will not lay eggs for about 6 months. If that's the experience that you're after, we recommend baby chicks.
There's more questions about the netting. I see netting. Yeah. I see netting on the top.
Yes.
Are they only enclosed in that area, or do you let them all over your yard? I'm afraid if we completely free range them in the day, that predators will get them.
If you completely free range your chickens during the day, you're at a higher risk of them getting attacked. I don't even want to use that word. The natural circle of life occurring, and hawks in our area can grab those chickens. I've got plenty of friends, however, that do free range all day and haven't had a problem, but my friend Larry in Calallen has lost several chickens to hawks.
Well, and the other reason that in urban chickens you have netting and areas that they can and can't go into at different times, and we will show you different parts of the yard. We do not free range in this backyard, but we do have lots of areas for the chickens to get new, fresh green grass and things like that, is because chickens, without clipping their wings, will fly. They don't fly very far. They're just enough to be obnoxious and eat your garden up or poop on your porch or whatever you don't want them to do.
When I built this run, I've created these access points where the chickens can go out into the yard.
Well, hello.
This has become one of their prime chill out in the afternoon areas because of the sun.
Or if they're scared of something.
But what you can't see from this side is that I've got just a piece of plywood guillotine trap door. I can completely shut this off.
That thing over there.
Yeah, there it is, right there on top. I can completely shut this off.
And it closes.
And there's a reason why I did that, and I intend on telling the story. Several years ago, a friend of mine asked us to babysit his chickens at his home while he and his family were on Christmas vacation. I did not own chickens at the time. I was eager to help because I like to learn and do different things. While on my watch, but not my fault, a predator, we originally thought it was a raccoon, he now believes it was a dog, found a weak point where the fabric was attached to the thing, pushed its way in, and killed all of his chickens. And so my philosophy when we got our chickens was they need a safe space where they are 100% protected all of the time, so that when we go to work or whatever, we're comfortable knowing that the chickens are safe back at home. That's why I did the net. I didn't have to purchase this net. Aislyn's father had a big roll of this, just unused in his barn. From
the chickens we had over there.
He did the same thing?
Yeah, because we were worried about hawks. Same thing. Yeah.
I like this get up very much. Don't let the lack of a roof be the reason why you don't do chickens. You'll learn as you go. Okay, so where were we? All right, so you got to buy your chickens. Do I buy them online? Do I buy them from a local feed store? Or do I buy them from a breeder, a local breeder? In our area, the local breeding business is not a booming business. So typically you can only get them online or at the feed store. People like the feed store because you can get them today. We like online because you have more selection. You can choose 1 or 2 chickens from all kinds of different species.
I like online because I've learned the reputable hatcheries that are going to make sure that the chickens they send me are not roosters and that they're healthy and they don't have diseases.
However, and Aislynn, I don't think we've ever had.
And I don't mean to be ugly to the bigger stores, but that is the truth. They give you more. You end up with more roosters if you buy from the box stores.
They don't. It's called sexing the chicken. Is this a boy or a girl? And because in Corpus Christi you're only allowed to have girls, you only want to buy girls hens. So when you put the time and the effort to get the chicken, the baby chicken, up to the age where you would learn that it's a rooster, typically when it gives out its very first cock-a-doodle-doo, you put so many resources into that chicken, and now you've got a chicken that you legally can't keep.
And you have to figure out where to get it to go and who's going to take it from you and all of that.
I would say this, if you're watching this from a different part of the country and you do have a local breeder of chickens, that is the way to go. Selective breeding makes a healthier chicken population, and that breeder will not put into his
got a thumbs up on that one, dude.
There you go. into his or her reproductive system weaker chickens that don't lay as well, chickens that have different problems, but we don't really have that option here in Corpus Christi. And I think I already mentioned that there are chickens today at Nailers. Now, we buy our chickens online. Doesn't mean that it's the perfect thing to do. It's just what we like to do. I just grabbed this screenshot of Ideal Poultry, that's who we use. They're in Texas. I've used them twice now, and customer service
them 3
fantastic.
or 4 times total. Right. Yep.
If this was the computer screen, you would see 100 different types of breeds and different reasons why people buy chickens. You can buy from them during the right time of year. You can buy from them the chickens with the cool, fun feather boots and afros. Not this time of year; it's too hot. But we just bought 8 new chickens. We're not keeping them all because that would put us over the number that we're allowed to have, but we had to buy that many to make the order, and we got plenty of people that have said, I'll take some of those. So now, questions. Don't be chicken. Ask anything while we go show off a little bit more of kind of what we do with our chickens. I hope I've covered everything. Should I do this? Am I the kind of person that would take, I hope this didn't come out wrong, get a puppy, decide it's too much work, and then take that puppy to a shelter? If that's the kind of thing, and if that's, then chickens aren't for you. Because while they are not labor intensive as adults, they're highly labor intensive to get them from the chick stage to being able to be outside without any kind of temperature help. I might, rather than go into how to get the baby chicks into 5-6 weeks old. 5-6 weeks old is when you put them outside typically. It's all about the temperature outside. I might just put a nice little link there. So this is our run. It's a nice size. I showed you the coop. 2 square feet of floor space per chicken. nesting boxes, easy way to clean, food and water every day. Your kitchen food, your human food is a fantastic way to supplement their diet.
What do you lay down on the coop floor if sand isn't recommended?
Again, I use this. You want to use pine. You don't want to use cedar. Cedar can hurt their respiratory system. So this pine bag lasts me 2 months, $6-7. I can't remember, but it's not more than that.
That's the coop floor, that is what she asked. But in case she was asking about the run floor.
Okay, so what's going to happen in your run if you put it in your backyard is you're going to allot a space of your green grass that you probably currently have to your chickens. They're going to take that down. Let's go look. So
I'm showing you the run, by the way.
Yeah, here is an area. Okay, so the answer to the question is mulch. That's what we use.
The answer to the question is mulch.
And deep mulch. And as Aislynn says often,
mulch is the answer.
To almost every question.
To every question you ask me about gardening, mulch is the answer.
So we got free mulch from a landscaper that needed to take it to the dump. And we brought it in. It is time for us to get another 6-8 inches of mulch in here. But right now, with everything the way that it is, it's going to be difficult to get that mulch today.
What breed of hens do well in Texas heat? You have an answer?
Yeah, go ahead while I give it some thought.
Well, if you're wanting the most high production chickens that do the best in the heat and are docile as well, you're looking at your Barred Rocks, your Rhode Island Reds, and the Buff Orpingtons tend to be the best. The Americanas do really well. They lay a little bit less eggs. However, they lay those pretty blue and green eggs, so they're worth it in our opinion. We also try to avoid the flighty chickens, although I think we might have gotten one of those in this last batch, which means they don't fly out of our coops. One of the things that when we were talking about the netting earlier that we didn't mention, and that is netting is also important to keep your chickens from flying into your neighbor's yard when you're doing urban chickens.
A chicken can't, some chickens, not all, can fly over a 6-foot wooden privacy fence. That's the truth.
Okay, hold on. The next question is, do you use barn lime or DE to keep the pests down?
We recently began using DE, diatomaceous earth. You can buy it at a local nursery. I got a thing about that big for about $18. It is a natural product. It just comes out of the ground. It's ground up, and it's good for pest control. A lot of people swear by. We're moving that direction, putting DE. The way a chicken takes a bath is it breaks up the dirt, and then it puts dirt all over its body. It helps it get rid of fleas and mites. If you put DE in your ground for them to use that as well, it's going to really do a great
But you
job.
have to do two things. You have to use food grade because they're going to pick at it. You can get that from the local nurseries. And you also have to reapply it after a rain or whatever because it doesn't last in the rain. It's only good for dry times. So when I know it's going to be windy and dry for a while, I DE everything, the whole yard and everything. Someone asks about cedar mulch. We get from a landscaper that's breaking up whatever they give us. We don't question it. I don't really get too deep into cedar versus whatever, but I will tell you that cedar is known to be good to help with pests, and so cedar mulch is actually beneficial as well.
I don't have a problem with cedar mulch in the run. I have a problem with cedar flakes overnight where they're in there overnight breathing all night long. So I would leave the cedar out of my coop. I would be less stringent about cedar in my run. When we first got our chickens, I built these PVC pipe, hardware cloth. I built those for $15.
I'm still going through some of the questions.
It's okay, let me finish this thought. We use this system to tunnel our chickens out to begin the gardening.
Yes.
So when Aislynn gives tours of her hugelkultur beds, notice that the size of them is the size of that, what I call their tractor, because they were the animals on the ground that were getting this garden ready to go. And this is one of 2 gardens that Aislynn gives tours of every Sunday morning on this same page.
Set that up a little bit so people can see. Like if we wanted them to be out here on this pretty green grass, we don't want them to kill the grass.
And again, this is not where you need to go, but this is one of the reasons why we got chickens, and this is how we use them.
Right. But if you want them to have access to green grass, that you don't want them to destroy the whole space, this is the option. This is the answer to the free ranging without real free ranging. This is the answer to it.
So
we call that a chunnel, a chicken tunnel.
So what I do is
you're gonna get all excited and think you're gonna let them out.
We can get them
Look,
out here.
they come running. Look, he's putting out the chunnel. There's a question about, do we have a lot of flies around our coop?
Yes. There is during certain types of the year,
after a rain,
more flies than not. This will be the year though that I tackle my fly problem, and in the notes, in the comments of this thing, I'll send you some resources on that.
Also, if we kept a better, strong, thick mulch layer, and I use a lot of the mulch for the garden, and so that's the reason why it's not as thick right now. But if you keep a really, really strong, nice, thick layer of mulch on the bottom of your run, you're not going to have as many problems with flies. It's all about keeping clean and giving them the chance to eat the larvae and stuff like that. Because if there's a really, really nice place where they're like settling in, the chickens will eat the larvae and the maggots before they hatch. So as long as you're keeping things like balanced and clean, you're gonna have less problems. I mean, in anything, I mean, even when it comes to whether the DE will kill the fleas or not, once you get an infestation of anything, you have a bigger problem. So do everything you can to keep from having an infestation, and then you won't have the same type of problem with things not working.
Now, when I say there are flies, I will tell you that having these chickens for 3 years, I have never felt that the fly thing was such a problem that it was a problem. Ever.
Yeah.
But there are some traps and stuff that I'll be using this year that a lot of chicken owners swear by. So because it's important to us that the chickens have green grass every day, I've just created this, like I said, 15 bucks, Home Depot. Get the wire from a local fence company, maybe. If you have a local fence company, do you have 20 feet of wire? Whatever you need, they'll sell it to you by the foot. Usually it's a very affordable price.
If you need to know a local fence company, let us know. We'll let you know one. Some questions. Will the hens take care of newly purchased chicks, or should they still be separated?
They should be separated. The reason why is because it's called flock integration. A chicken, a grown hen, does not take to a foreign chick the way that it would a chick that it hatches.
Yeah.
So we've got our baby chickens inside. When it's time for me to take the ones that we keep and integrate them into the flock, I will have to keep them separate within the coop for a while as they just get to know one another, as they get used to one another. Then overnight, I'll put the younger ones up into the coop, and hopefully in the morning you don't get too much fighting. Let's go show them this area.
How do you avoid rodents getting to the feed?
That's why I bought those 2 metal trash cans. When I open them up in the morning to give them some food, and I give them the scratch in the evening, there are some roaches in there. They love it when I pick those roaches out with the scooper and throw them on the ground. That's a hors d'oeuvre. What's going on over here, Aislynn? This is brand new in our backyard.
Well, so this is the end of the run, and he opened up the very end of the permanent channel, that comes out of the run, where when we were, when we were preparing this garden over here, we used these holes, and we can still use them if ever needed again. But now that's basically what we're doing over here. We're preparing a new garden bed. And this is exactly what happens in a new garden bed, where we're saying, okay, we want the chickens to go in and till the ground, eat the grass, put some fertilizer and ammonia in the soil, eat up all the seeds, eat up all the insects that we don't want in there, and really clean up this space and get it ready. I will show you that this garden over here was the one we started last year. So a year ago, they got this, and you can see that we have a channel on this side as well. That Joe put this fence up right here. This was a fence for them, and this was the entrance into this section of the garden. Now, so they could actually come through that if they wanted to right now. But now this area that, like similar to the one you saw over there, is a new garden instead. But you can see, I mean, they ate this down. They ate it down to the nubbins. They ate as many of the seeds up, and then of course we put new mulch down in here. But that's essentially what happened. They got this area ready. They got the tree trimmings ready. They got everything ready for us. Of course, there's still seeds over here that we find from time to time, but that really helps you keep the weeds out of your garden too, because they eat up all the seeds. And then, like I said, they're gonna destroy the ground. In the meantime, it'll go back eventually, but the ammonia and the poop that they put, not just their scratching and eating, but also the ammonia and the manure, that causes the ground to be in bad shape. If you don't want it to smell and have a lot of flies, you do need to give them other places to go to, so that they're not creating a problem in the run that cannot be solved over years and years and years after they're off of it.
And in our city code, this whole notion that the coop structure needs to be 25 feet away from your home and a neighbor's home is also built for that. I know that there are a lot of runs and coops in Corpus Christi that are right up next to a house. I ain't no whistleblower. I put the chickens where you need to put them. The Corpus Christi does not maintain the code about them too badly. It's really just about being courteous to your neighbors.
But here's the thing. Yes, you're going to deal with flies a little bit from time to time throughout the year. But if your chicken coop smells, that's the problem.
Right.
We do not have a smelly chicken coop. It doesn't smell out here.
I put a deep layer of that shavings on the floor, and then get it over to the compost bin if I'm noticing any odor at all. We don't have odors. We don't have an odor problem at all.
No.
And that's why we put a thick layer of mulch on the ground, and when all of this gets done and the world gets a little more calm, it'll be time to do that. If you have any other questions, just post them in the comments of this video. We'll get them answered for you. Remember, I'm going to go through this video and put links for all kinds of resources. And then, Aislynn, I'll take that phone from you, and you tell them what happens every Sunday morning.
So every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. from this same page, if you've never tuned into this page before, I do a live backyard garden talk. I talk about the way that I garden, which is very close to nature. It's permaculture style growing, it's companion planting, and it's using your space to the most beauty that you can make it, that makes you want to participate in it. I use the chickens. The chickens are a very important part of my gardening, as you learn through this whole thing. So tune in every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. or you can watch the recorded version of it. We answer questions on there as well. One thing is that if someone tags me in a group about gardening, hey, they're asking questions, my response is going to be come over here and look at some of the videos and join me and ask questions. And then the other place you can learn a lot about gardening and the food we cook and the chickens we raise is that we do a podcast called Dinner Table Talks. The easiest way to get to that is www.dinnertabletalks.com, and we launch a new episode every Monday morning. So those are the couple of places you can get information that we have available related to food and a little urban homestead, basically.
I am happy that you're here. I'm happy that you, and I trust that you're okay in everything that we're kind of dealing with right now. And we appreciate you watching. Again, re-watch the video for more resources attached to the comment section soon. See you in the morning for your garden talk, Aislynn. And on Monday morning, a brand new episode of Dinner Table Talks will be out.
Yep. See ya.